episode 4. Welcome. Actually, this episode will really take you back to the beginning of my story. In the beginning, well, sort of in the middle of the beginning, around March 1st, 2005, when I'm not so sure it was the first time I was ever touched by fire, because in the course of my business career, I think in projects of either software or strategy, I was touched by desire and developing my desire, not desire, but fire. By fire, as K. Redfield Jameson says. But anyway, on March 1st, after, well, call it a year and a half of writing some screenplay, and I call them screen plans, imagining, well, a nuclear-tipped Al-Qaeda terrorist attack waves upon the United States, and basically the destruction of life as we know it on the planet Earth, and, well, and imagining a Jack trying to run around with technologies I tried to invent to stop it. And then on March 1st, I just gave up that exercise after having written September 11th, 2011, and the Bible Code Revelations. And within the Bible Code Revelations, I was actually trying to, without speaking Hebrew, I was trying to decode the codes, and I got to this one code. And this is where I stopped. It said, God encoded, God is truth. And, well, this wasn't about God, but he does, or he doesn't come into play, and it really matters or not. But here's the point. On March 1st, I said, okay, let's think about how we could create a better future of Earth, and I'll put my mind together and see if I can create a notion for business enterprise. By the way, I'm on my own and, well, able to freely associate and go well beyond the boxes of your realities, because I'm, well, thinking way outside of your boxes. I blew them up, and basically I said, well, what if the right thing to do is you could get one technology monopoly and then get two, and then if you had two big technology monopolies, you could make it three, and then after all you could consolidate it all and then extend your monopoly power. But there's obviously problems with monopolies, but what if you could get around those problems? What if you could get around those problems by having a benevolent monopoly? Okay, so let's step that aside for a second. But anyway, so then it got to a bigger scale issue of, why not just buy all the enterprises, not just the technology companies I made offers to, from all the technology companies to GE, to Apple, to Google, to Microsoft. I'd buy Microsoft to just kill Windows and get Bill Gates working on his charity program. And well, my vision was for Bill Gates to monopolize charity of the world, and for the Google guys and, well, the technology guys with Gates to get together and build a new world architecture, one big system, and use volumes, build our best design. And, well, okay, so it's sort of, if you imagine what it is in imagining, it's like, imagine that we decided to reconstruct our entire IT technology architecture and our process across the planet Earth over a period of, let's say, 7 years. And now, we might do that in secret, and I'll come back to that point. But, so on March 1st, I started thinking this, and I thought, well, the solution is basically buying the entire world. But you can't buy the world unless you have peace on Earth, and that's where it sort of gets biblical, because you've got to tie the nations of the world divided by religions that are all part of the same thing as you get into it. But, okay, so you've got to bring them together. And, well, so maybe this was the insanity of my thought at the time, but after the companies didn't get back to me, I sent an email to Arnold, Governor Arnold of California. This was 11 days of brainstorming, 2 hours a night. Never had that little sleep, 2 hours a night, and brainstorming and racing my thoughts way beyond prescribed speed limits in the state of California. I didn't know they had limits then. I do now. But anyway, the point is, thoughts racing, I thought, well, I sent an email to Arnold, said, listen, I will offer to buy California for 1.5 times its market value worth, and I'll pay you 999 years of justice and peace on earth, and I have insider information of unworldly proportions. Now, of course, such an email might look like the email of an insane man, but I postulated that it could be the sanest email ever received by a governor anywhere on a planet. Well, I'm postulating now, because, well, you have to start asking yourself, what was the value, back then or now, of the state of California, a broken government enterprise state? You can't call government enterprise, or can you? But anyway, the point is, well, one could argue that it was 500 billion in debt then. It's more now. So 1.5 times that is 750 billion. So if I bought California, Arnold would owe me 250 billion just to take the state off his hands. And now, what could I do? When I say I, that's we, because it's my plan was your plan. That's how I would get around all your rules. Because if I created a private plan for the people, that's why I have the gorilla hat on. See, if I became a gorilla peace guy for the people, you couldn't stop it because it was for the people, and a monopoly of the people, by the people, and for the people is a benevolent, perfect monopoly. But anyway, but imagine California, we own the Coastal Commission. Well, we want to buy up all that land. And then you really see, you get to yourself on a global scale. Because if I'm going to create justice and peace on Earth, all the value of all the land throughout all the planet goes way up in value. Now it's all owned by all those rich guys. And actually, interestingly enough, if you do the math, a lot of it's owned by those governments and by... Well, the oceans are owned by no one, but we can put them in our own bank. Now, that was my idea. And see, I anointed 10 business bulls and 7 political heads, only announcing who's in Tao of China. For the politics, all I needed to do is the count. And then, on the side of the business bulls, at the top, I put Alan Greenspan. Because Alan Greenspan could explain to you in his gobbledygook how we could invent virtual rainbow stars backed by real assets on Earth and create one single global world currency, a reserve currency of all of us, backed by all of us, and, well, one currency cannot fail. It cannot fall. And one global market will expand the economy and expand prosperity for all. And the expansion of prosperity and value for all will create a virtuous circle of growth, not a virtuous circle of downward spiral of debts coming due. So, it was always noted that the debts come due, and your debts were due even back then. Okay, so anyway, what would happen if Arnold had sent that email? Well, where would he send it? To the Pope, maybe? Because I was giving 90 to 99 years of justice and peace on Earth. It's like somebody should connect that to Isaiah 2.4. He will rebuke many people and judge among the nations, for they will learn war no more, and we'll have, you said, 1,000 years of justice and peace on Earth. Well, it could be 1,000,000 years of justice and peace on Earth once we find a minute of it, and that's actually the plan, because see, I in my mind viewed all of our religions and all of our history from time as a single lesson of us. And even if you were an atheist, because my vision was beyond Ayn Rand, beyond John Galt to Will Galt. What if Atlas didn't shrug? What if Atlases became Atlases together? Because this is where it starts to get biblical. We don't need Jesus to return in the flesh to know. We don't need the Prophet Muhammad to return in the flesh to know. We don't need God to return to save us. He gave us all we need to save ourselves. And our own minds can teach us our own best path. And that path is one where we grow prosperity from the top, not to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, from the bottom to the top, to the bottom to the top, in a flowing fountain of prosperity of all of us. And we build a better future for ourselves, and we build our movie together. And in my movie, very quickly, behind the scenes, a conspiracy began. And in my movie, one of the earliest scenes was in the Oval Office, and George Bush and Osama bin Laden were kissing each other in the cheeks, realizing we had peace on earth, realizing that we were secretly going to conduct the 7 years. For the next 7 years, we were going to create a reality that extended the non-existent reality while working together to create a peace on earth, to be announced at a future moment when all of a sudden, throughout the world, your TV channels would change, and it would be announced that peace on earth would be delivered, and you would have new technologies delivered. Those technologies would introduce you into a future way beyond your wildest dreams, a future none of your scientists could imagine in the next 100 years, because they're bound by the boxes of our reality and of our existing process of politics and broken business models. And, well, if you imagine putting the power of a space race of all nations together with all enterprise over 7 years, to put the power of all churches together, to find common grounds, to find a way to achieve a global existence of peace, a common understanding of a morality that we train our billions of people for the next thousand years. Because in the future that I envisioned, well, it changes. Anyway, by 11 days, it was 11 days, I sent on the message. I thought I had the plan. And if it's the plan, you didn't need much more than that. I was worried that, well, the plan might not get out. And right now, I don't care if the plan never gets out, if YouTube cancels these videos, if nobody really gets the proposition. If somebody ever proved my proposition wrong, I'd be very interested in that proof. But nobody has proved my proposition that we can buy the world and build a better world together and own a better future and write a better story together, and that we can write our own future together. Anyway, on the 12th of March 2005, I went to where I had $1 million lots, and over in Reserve in Indian Wells, checked myself in and said I wanted to have a conversation with Arnold. I didn't get one with Arnold. I got a Sheriff Haidar, and he showed up. And within 15 minutes, I thought I was going to get a lawyer. I needed somebody to negotiate my transaction for the acquisition of California, but I was like way beyond my mind at the time, and of course, but hey, anyway, I got my first 5150, and I told Haidar, hey, is this anyway, these actually, if you better been in the back of a police car, and that was really one of my first experiences, and well, they're cramped. And I told him, hey, these are cramped. This is no way to create the future own of California. Of course, I wasn't buying it for myself. I was buying it for you. My plan was take your world and your states and your nations private in my head, with all your enterprises private, but privatizing with all your atlases together to create one global enterprise where Atlas does not shrug and stands up. And although I believe in God, if there was a pope of the atheist church, I would take command of that popehood, because if you could prove a better plan for Atlas, then you would be the pope of all those who believe in Ayn Rand.